Hey, this is Tola. In this video, I'm going to show you in real time how I wrote first class essays at university. So, in year 12, during my A levels, this was many years ago, my literature teacher came to class and, for some reason, which was of huge benefit to us as it turned out, wrote these acronyms on the board. So, P for point, E for elaboration, E for evidence, and S for summary. This was how we were to structure our paragraphs moving forward. So, one paragraph, one argument. So, how do people write their essays? People typically have an introduction, a body to the essay, and a conclusion. Here's how I write my essays: body, conclusion. And here's why. If I'm being completely frank, if I'm reading your essay, I just want the answers. I don't want a preamble, I don't want anything dramatic. I want the answers. So I've provided an essay question here that we can use. Is Tola a good YouTuber? Typically, you would have 2,500 words to play with, 7 or more resources, so books, references, whatever. Right? I typically used 7. I kind of just kept a cap on that throughout my university years. With 2,500 words, I would structure my essay into 5 paragraphs, each paragraph being about 500 words. And here's a critical point. When writing an essay, it's important to have a counter argument. That's really important, right? If no matter how great your arguments are, no matter how eloquent your writing is, if you don't have a counter argument in your essay, you're not going to do particularly well. The counter argument is meant to illustrate that you have taken everyone's arguments into consideration. Like you're challenging your own assumptions or the assumptions of others, basically. Right? It just shows that you're a critical thinker and you've thought holistically about the problem. So that's important. So let's use our essay question. Is Tola a good YouTuber? So I've read Plato, I've read Aristotle, I've read the New York Times, I've read the Bible, and everyone affirms that Tola is a good YouTuber. Okay, so that's fair. Right, so that's my general consensus. Argument. What's wrong with me? 1, 2, 3, 4. Counter argument, and then the conclusion. Conclusion. Okay, cool. So that's basically what my essay would look like. Like I said, minus the introduction, I'd have. Did I spell that right? Oh, my bad. All right. So argument 1, 2, 3, and 4. Counter argument, conclusion. So let's try to answer the question using this structure. So Tola is a good YouTuber. Gosh. Because he posts regularly. So that's the point. Again, this was critical to, or is critical to my writing. You highlight the point. What's the point? You go Is Tola a good YouTuber? That's the question. That's the essay question. Tola is a good YouTuber. Why? Because he posts regularly. That's your first argument. Done. That's that. Could you elaborate? Of course. Like if I was having a conversation with you, and I said, "Oh yeah, Tola's a good YouTuber," you go, "Why?" Because he posts regularly. Could you tell me more? So you could say so we elaborate. The YouTube audience is rather fickle. This is just an example. It's not. I'm not attacking anyone. It's rather fickle, and the more you post, the more likable you are. I mean, whatever, right? You've elaborated. And go, okay, do you have proof that this jackass posts regularly? Sure. So, between January and Feb, this is just an example, so don't butcher it. Between January and Feb, Tola posted 30 videos on the songs. So you can then put like a reference that you found, Songs of Hope series. Which I can then go and say which gained 300 views in total. So you've gone. So what's your point? So Tola is a good YouTuber because he posts regularly. Elaborate. The YouTube audience is rather fickle, and the more you post, the more likable you are. Sure. Between January and February, Tola posted 30 videos on the Songs of Hope series, which gained 300 views in total. Point elaboration. Point elaboration. You provide the evidence. And you just summarize. You just generally summarize your point and go, okay. So effectively, Tola at least in line with this metric has proven to be a good YouTuber. So that's your first argument. It's that simple, really. So you can then go on and duplicate the structure across argument 2, 3, and 4. What's your counter argument? Well, based on all the research you've done, you read Plato, Aristotle, you read the Bible, you read a comic book, you went, Tola's lighting isn't fantastic in his videos. So that's your counter argument. That could suggest that though he's hit a lot of these other points that make him a good YouTuber, he's lacking in this particular area. So the lighting isn't fantastic. Something like that. So you go, counter argument. I'm not going to write it out. But you get it. Lighting's not fantastic. And then go, elaborate. No, let's do it. So, some critics have observed that Tola does not use good lighting. Elaborate more. In video creation, lighting is very important in communicating the quality of your production. Production. What's the evidence for this, right? So you could reference, so in 2019, you could just reference some random YouTuber like George, George, oops, George, the dude who creates content on sports won the award for best lighting for a video that amassed 200 million views, something like that. So in effect, Tola could be considered to be subpar, to be a subpar YouTube creator. Fine, okay. So that's an argument, right? That's a counter argument. So you've gone, Tola is good because he posts regularly. Tola is good because he has nice headphones. Tola is good because the sky is blue. Oh, but why isn't he good? That's a counter argument. So boom, boom, boom. Then you write your conclusion, which nothing special there. You just kind of summarize your points. While my previous points, so we could just go while the last point highlights a critical flaw in Tola's work. I'm just trying to get through this. In Tola's work, it does not diminish his other attributes, which effectively make him a good YouTuber, younger YouTuber. Wow. So, that's it. That's literally it. It's about structure. It's about communicating your answers effectively, and people have got to be able to see the way your mind works. It's got to be easy to follow. It's got to answer the question. That's fundamental for me. That's you can be eloquent. You can research. You can dump on a lot of information. If you haven't answered the question properly, then you're not going to do well, right? So it got to a point in my third year where I could write an essay, a 2,500 word essay, within the space of a night. You're a student, so you're not as disciplined as you ought to be. So you leave things to the last minute sometimes. It happens, right? But because I had mastered the structure, I was able to kind of build on it. I was able to flesh it out a little bit more. So you don't necessarily. Oh wow! Look at that! Look at that error. Effectively. Okay. You don't necessarily stick to a basic structure. This is the foundation for your thinking. And when the chips are down, this will always serve you well, right? But with this, you can elaborate, you can play around with it. Of course, you've got to use references, quotes, just to back up your points. So I'll typically do that within the evidence space. I'll go, in the comic book, chapter 10, verse 11, Tola did this. So that shows that he's a good YouTuber. Something like that. But you got to also, you got to reference. So what are the key takeaways? this. For me, it's really this. Because this structure allows you to communicate your ideas effectively. People want to know what your point is. People want to know that you've thought about your point. They want to know that you've researched it, that you have evidence for what you're trying to say, what you're trying to argue. And you then kind of couch it up in a nice way just to summarize your point. That's one argument. That's one argument that can be duplicated over numerous, right? So that's that. That's how I wrote first class essays at university. If you found this video useful, please like, please do all that stuff. You know the you know the routine. Please subscribe, and catch you again next time.